Hey guys, Tina here. I am super excited to share something with you that has been incredibly beneficial to my day. It has helped with so many things for my mood, my energy, my sleep, my skin, my focus, all the things, and it's super clean, which is very, very important to me. If you want more information, I would love to share it with you. Send me a message on my Instagram. My handle is Tina M. Kafka, or there is a link in my bio. I'm super excited. I want to hear from you. I want to build a relationship and help you to create the best life that you want meant for you. Bye, guys. Hi, guys. Tina here. And I am going to do a super quick podcast this week in lieu of Sara being in the beautiful beaches of the Virgin Islands. And I am enjoying time with my son. However, it is very important to us that we share with you every single week little bits of information and little stories based upon things that we have learned and experiences we have had, and not miss out, because we know that it's very important to you guys to hear from us. So this is going to be a super quick podcast. I hope that you find it enjoyable, and I hope that you hear this and maybe it helps you to look for winks in your life and experiences of joy, even in the pain. So today's podcast is going to be my own personal, I call them God winks. Other people may call them coincidences or karma, but I definitely do not, as I've learned that it is not that at all. It is a God wink. And there are moments in our lives, we call them turn back moments, where we can look back and be like, wow, that was such an amazing experience. Or, wow, why did I go through that horrible experience? And see the turns that it's taken in your life and how it's brought you to this moment that you're in. Maybe it's a great moment, maybe it's a not so great moment, but no matter what, you've made it through and you've come out a different person. And so one thing I want to share with you is a little scripture before I get started, because I feel that this is a very powerful scripture, and especially everything that's going on in the world. I think so often it's easy for us to see the bad and look for the bad. But what we are here to do, what Sara and I are here to do, is look for the good. And so the scripture I would like to share with you is Matthew 6:34, because it's a powerful one and it's gotten me out of a lot of challenges and it's helped me to see the good in a lot. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And I just feel like it's so powerful, because I so often portray myself to be a happy, confident, joyful, upbeat person. And what you don't see is the challenges that I've gone through. I think I do a pretty good job showing that to you. But the only reason I've gotten through those challenges is because of the continual reach back into scripture to show me the moments in my life where God has been winking at me all along. So I'm just going to share a couple God wink stories with you, and I hope you hear them and you can experience your own God wink moments, even when you don't realize that they were there all along. So one really powerful God wink moment, and God wink moments aren't necessarily moments where you look down at the ground and you're stressing about money and you look down at the ground and you see a quarter. That is a powerful God wink moment, because I feel like that is showing you, hey, I'm here, I got you. And maybe it's not like a profound, earth shattering thing, but those moments, if you can appreciate that and look down and say, hey, thanks for that quarter, or thanks for that whatever, you're going to be gifted with more God wink moments and more God wink moments. So I had my own personal God wink moment regarding money on the ground when Sara and I were doing a podcast and we were talking about looking down on the ground and watching for opportunities to see the money. And, a lot of times you're like, oh, it's a penny, or, oh, it's a quarter, or, oh, no big deal. And you don't pick it up. And I had said on the podcast, if you don't pick up the little things, he's not going to give you the big things. And later that same day, Sara and I went for a ride to Michigan, and I was in my own mind worried a little bit about putting gas in my car. And I took that moment to just sit there and think to myself, I'm always going to be provided for in one way or another. So trust in the Lord with all my heart and lean not on my own understanding. And this is not even an exaggeration. When I went and stopped to get gas, I said to myself, I'm going to put in $40. And there's some truth to, or some really specific moments to why I picked the $40. And it's so cool to think about. So I put the $40 in, and as I got out of my car, I found a $20 bill on the ground. And I'm like, well, that's weird, but I'll take it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just found $20. How awesome is that? And I was so grateful for it. And I went in, I put the $40 in my tank. I went in, to get a water, and I bought a water for Sara and I, which also that's powerful too, because old Tina would have just got a water for myself and like maybe asked Sara if she wanted a water. New me is like, no, I'm just going to buy her the water. I come out, I go to drive away. And as I drive away, I look in my little mirror and I'm like, well, that's weird. I looked on the ground and I stopped, put my car in park and got out, and there was another $20 on the ground. So I literally found $40 at the gas station getting gas when I put $40 of gas in. And it was also that same day when I was talking on our podcast about picking up the pennies and picking up the quarters and appreciating it. So why that's so powerful, you guys, is these are moments in our lives when we can choose to be grateful for what we have, or we can stress about how maybe we're going to not be able to pay for that gas or pay for that bill. So I just thought that was really powerful. And it was kind of like I'm, living out the life that I'm sharing with you guys to live. And it's not like God is rewarding me for being a good person. I don't think that's how he works. But I do believe he winks at you when you're on the right path and you're making the right decision and you're living in accordance to the way that he wants you to live. So that was one God wink that I want to share that's just super powerful. Another God wink I want to share, which this one is a little bit more on the emotional side. So I had left the church I was at. I just didn't love it. I wasn't feeling it after my brother had passed away. It was a Catholic church, nothing against Catholics in any way, shape, or form. Just didn't feel like it was my home anymore, which happens. And so my mom had come to town to visit. This was in August of 2019. So it was about just over 2 months since my brother had passed. And my mom's like, let's go to church. And I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I was kind of a little bit mad at God. Like, I was a little frustrated. Like, I don't want to go to church. I have no desire. Like, it doesn't feel good. The people don't feel good. I don't want to go. My mom's like, well, I'm going to look, and, it's good for Jeffrey to get, to whatever. So she found a church, and I was like, fine, let's go check it out. Whatever. No big deal. I was just kind of like in the mode of like, I'm not going to win this argument here. So let's just make mom happy. And we go to this church, and I'm like, we walk in. My mom just looked it up online. We walked in, and it was very different from a Catholic church. It was louder. People were moving around. People were talking. There was a little place to get coffee. There was like little different rooms for the kids to go in and just like learn about Jesus, like with kids in their age group while the parents were in church. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever been to. So we get into, I'm feeling uncomfortable the whole time, unsteadied, like super anxious the whole time, walk into church. And I'm a little sensitive because, it had only been two months since I lost Kurt. So I get in, we sit down, worship starts. And the first song, or the second song, I can't remember which one, was the song that the pastor who did my brother's sermon played for us before we went out to do my brother's celebration of life at church. Okay, God wink number one. I was like, I don't know about this church, but like, I feel like God's talking pretty strong in this moment. And so I cried my eyes out, of course, but like, it was a little God wink. At the time, I didn't want to admit it was a God wink. Can you all think of moments in your life where that has happened, where you're like, no, that's just a coincidence, right? Now, here's the cool part about this. Fast forward to almost 4 years later, that church is Grace Point. I have been going to that church for almost 4 years. I have been water baptized in that church. I have met some of my greatest friends through that church. I have went to a retreat with that church. I volunteered with the youth at that church. That church has gotten me through so many ups and downs in my life. And it all started with me, well, my mom essentially forcing me to go. And the winks just continued to happen and continued to happen. So God winks aren't necessarily going to just always be filled with like joy and peace. God winks are also God nudges. And so by me listening to that calling, even when I didn't want to, and a little God wink showed up in my life, and then they continued to show up. Now, obviously, those stories are some pretty big God winks, you guys. And I understand life isn't all about humongous God winks. We have little ones too. And little God winks can be a phone call from a friend you've been thinking about. We've all heard of this. It can be a text message from somebody that you care about. It can be a chance meeting somebody that you don't even expect to show up in your life, and they show up and they play a very special and important role in your life. It can be a friendship that you have built with somebody, and in turn, your children build friendships with somebody. God winks are everywhere. God winks are all around us. And I think that if we can start to notice them and start to show gratitude for them when they happen and they come up, and be open to the experience that they're not, life doesn't always show up in the way you want it to or the way that you expect it. However, if you open your mind, open your heart, and expand to the opportunities that God winks are all around you, a rainbow that shows up when you're on vacation or when you're having a bad day. It could be, a shooting star you see when you're taking a moment to admire the beauty in the sky. It can be so many opportunities and so many things in our lives that we forget to give credit to. Those are your God winks. Those are moments in your life when you can have a turn back and you can see that really all along you have people guiding you. You have a bigger picture in motion. You have more experiences than you thought were possible in your life. And I share this with you because there's so much anger in the world. There's so much hateful moments. And if we can not worry about those quite so much, for they will bring enough worry of themselves. Each day has so many worries and so many troubles and so many fears. For today, for the next week, for the rest of your life, I want you to take an opportunity to think about all the God winks that have showed up in your life, all the experiences you can look at and think to yourself, maybe almost you saw it happening before it actually happened. They call that deja vu. I don't call that deja vu. I call that God winks, God moments in our life, and Him showing you you're on the right path. You're making the right choice. And if you yourself are hearing this and thinking, I've never had a God wink, I don't experience that many God winks, ask. Ask and it is given. Ask for the opportunity for God winks. And I promise you, they show up all over the place, all around you, especially when you're looking for them. So this is a super quick podcast, but I feel that it's so important to really honor the life that you have, which is a gift. And you honor it by not only noticing the God winks, appreciating the God winks, having gratitude for them, but also expecting more of them to show up. And so I hope that you hear this, and I hope that you look for the God winks, and I hope that you know you are blessed and you are a beautiful child of God, and there's so much more out there for you if only you open your eyes to look and see all the greatness, not only in you, but in the life you're meant to live.
Thank you so much for listening and sharing and subscribing to our channel. We are so excited to announce the launch of Fearless Queens podcast apparel. This apparel is going to be made by students of Wolcott, Indiana High School who are receiving college credit for their entrepreneurship program. 10% of the proceeds will go to the Wolcott Entrepreneurship Program to help the expansion. Another 10% will go to the Indiana Dunes Great Banquet. It's a nonprofit organization located in Valparaiso, Indiana, who spread the agape love of God throughout the region. This holds a special place in mine and Tina's heart because without meeting at this retreat, there would be no Fearless Queens podcast. And the remainder of the proceeds will go to help continue the show's funding. Pre-order your apparel through their Instagram handle at Fearless Queens Pod. Thank you so much again for listening and pre-order yours today.